Welcome to the third podcast episode. I am Bob Duato here with Chester and JC, and welcome in, guys. We've had a lot of stuff happen over the last time we did this. We talked to Nick Stroop the last time, and tonight our guest is going to be Bobby Showtime, and he's got a lot to talk about.
I love Showtime. He's been whooping ass. Like, he's really turned his program around this year, and he's been winning and running top two, really showing these young bucks that the old dog still got some tricks. So I'm excited to get Bobby on here, talk about him. He ran first and second in the last race, so it should be exciting to see what he's got to say.
Yeah, I think he won the All-Star race, right, Bob?
Yes, he did.
He did, yeah. I mean, he's kicking ass. Last podcast, I think we were talking about the youth movement, right? People like Bumgardner and old Three Wheels, the old trike there, Corey. What's his name?
Corey Gordon.
His name
Corey
is
Gordon, yeah, and a couple other young guys just beating up. But old Bobby Showtime, the gray in his beard, the grizzled veteran. You know, he's coming through and putting it down. I'm interested to talk about the interesting information that's come up as of late.
Yeah, he failed a tire test, had chemical in the tire, which is a no-go. So basically, we're looking at all this stuff and saying, hey, you're illegal here. And that was based off the last Cup win, which he got handily. And I know he's been working on his stuff, but it'll be interesting to talk to him about that. Now, the All-Star race we had before, we had a Cup race along with that. And then we went and had our season finale the other night, and that went very well. And champions were crowned and all that, but Showalter had won the race the weekend after that All-Star race and just failed the tire test. I mean, the lab makes a call. It comes back. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And he says, admittedly, that there were some things he could have changed to not make that happen.
Well, I'd like to get his view on it because, I mean, we've tossed a couple of guys out already this year. It's not like we've been secretive about it or anything. And especially when he's been running as good as he has, it's a shame. It's a shame to see somebody like him have to push the boundaries like that when, you know, we see Nick Stroop and that whole camp win week in and week out without doing anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's guys that are always up front anyways, as of late, that we've seen get tagged for stuff, right? It's not like they have to cheat. They're already top five all the time. I mean, Bobby Showtime's won races in the past, right?
Right.
He's shown he's got talent. Daniel Armstrong showed he got talent. Mullis won races all over the Southeast, right? And these are the guys that are getting tossed for random stuff. So I'm interested to see what we can talk about here.
Well, here he is joining us now live is Robert Showalter. Bobby Showtime, you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Showalter, welcome to the podcast. A normal deal here we got going on. We were just talking about winning that All-Star race. What was it like to win that race, first of all? And second of all, what'd you do with the money?
Yeah, so far the highlight of this year has been winning the All-Star race. We started out strong beginning of this season and had a couple bad runs and got back in the points a little bit. But winning the All-Star race, it's a pretty big deal. You know, I worked on my tires all week. Was figuring I was going to run at least second or third. You know, a lot of good people show up for that race. You got Jerry Morris and Jimmy Knopf shows up for there. So, you know, I figured, we started the race. We didn't get past with the first 5 laps, so I figured we were going to be okay. And then a couple of cautions came out, had restarts, and they didn't pass me then, so I thought we were going to be all right. Got in some black traffic and got back to second. And we ran, second there for a while behind Jerry Morris and a couple of 5 to go cautions came out, and we got us back in the lead on a caution on a restart, and we took it home from there. But that's an excellent race. It's pretty cool. I know I'm locked into the All-Star race again next year, so that's beating itself right there. I'm gonna race in all the race the champions and the Open and everything. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Bobby, we've watched you all year. You started off strong, and then, like you said, you had a dip through the middle part of the year, but then you've been coming back lately. You're one of the guys that has no fear about getting up there and banging the boards in the treading classes, and that is just so exciting for us to watch. Where did you learn that? Did that come naturally to you? Because there's a lot of guys that we see that try to do that and end up flipping over and getting carried away on the meat wagon.
Yes, I want to compliment the DNQ series on going to this, treaded tire package. It definitely evens the field up without, prepping and doping up the tires. I mean, you can dope up your tires, and about anybody can drive a cart when the cart's driving that good, So it's definitely a challenge. I didn't start out the season running the Cup Series with the treaded tires. I missed AR, so it put us back in points. And we've been steadily working on our notebook, running up there on the wall, and end up stepping up on the motor program, getting Kevin Smith's KSR motor that most of our competitors run, so that helped out the program quite a bit. But, man, to be honest with you, just getting up there on the wall and holding it wide open, you just got to have a big set of a sack on you, I guess, and hold it wide open and hope for the best. But it's been great racing. You're up on there and you got guys pulling slide jobs on you and sliding up in front of you, and then you're crossing them over. You're getting them back in the next turn. So definitely thumbs up on going to that series, the tires in that series, and it's been great racing. I'm sure the fans have enjoyed it.
Yeah, Bobby, it's Jay-Z here. We in the booth, we've loved it, right? It's so exciting to watch you guys slicing and dicing, people finding their own lines. Occasionally, get some names you don't call all the time up front, even though you got your perennial favorites such as yourself. You're lumped in there. You can pat yourself on the back now. You're a winner all the time.
Let's not jack him off a little too much. Come on, now.
Right? But there's a difference, right? There's the different levels of classes in DNQ. You've got your Goodies Dash. You have Ghostface Brewing Heavy Cup. You got your Carroll Tractor Trailer Repair Bush Series, and there's different Arca, Pink Magic Arca, and as you move up, you've got to do things differently. Could you talk a little bit about the time you're putting at the shop before you get to the racetrack? What you guys are working on, how many hours you put in before we even show up to race? I mean, what's the difference that gets you to the front all the time?
So it's like any racing, the time that you spend in the shop, going through your go-kart, maintenance, washing it. I always say a clean go-kart adds at least 2/10, so, washing it, making sure it looks good. But, every week, with the prep tires, you're always, doing your tires during the week. And then, with the tread tires, you should just be washing them and putting them up in the trailer and leaving them alone. But
what if you're not?
Go-kart every week. What's that?
I guess now's probably a good time to ask that question. Got some tire samples back while we're on the topic of tire prepping. What happened?
So when we do come back, we do wash our tires with Awesome and Simple Green. I may have let them sit on there for too long. I'm not sure. Also that night and other nights, I have washed those tires. Unfortunately, in my tub that I also wash my prep tires in, because we run 2 classes. And unknowingly, I might have just put them in there to wash the mud off them because it was muddy that night, just to clean them up. And it might have got, goat pee on them on that way. So, unfortunately, we win a race, everything's great, and then we fail a tire test. So, I feel like unknowingly I screw myself on that by washing my tires in a tire cleaning bucket. But it is what it is. Everyone's in the same book. Everyone's got to, abide by the same laws. And unfortunately, I messed that up. So, hopefully DNQ will forgive me. I'll sit out my races I got to sit out, pay my fine, and then we'll go on. But back to, during the week, we'll get our stuff ready. We'll set it up, make sure everything's right, where we want to be on. And if we know that week we're running the high side, we'll set our cart up to something different, change our gears a little bit. And if we know we're running the low side, or if it's going to be wet that night, we'll do something different with the gear and maybe set up. But I definitely feeling the high side way better than the low side. I can't figure out running down there in the bottom and when the track's got a lot of moisture in it. I just haven't figured it out. So I guess I'm going to call Jeremy and get some more testing in place to figure that out.
Yeah, we had the tire test come back. We've covered all that stuff before, but talking about going to this year, it was you and Adam Welch that approached me to begin with, that even put the idea out there, and it's taken off. So you guys being the original R&D of this, I mean, you got to take some credit to it too. As much credit as we have in the series was you guys coming to us and bringing that up and doing some of the work to get it to where it is today.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't. I mean, I've raced at Millbridge 20 years ago when I moved down here, and I haven't raced go-karts since until last year when we started back up in 2019. And Adam was racing with KSE and the outlaw wing carts and stuff, and we didn't even have flat carts. And he's like, let's go-kart racing. So we started go-kart racing, and then we ran slicks all of 2019. We won the Busch Championship. I think Mike Contrino, the other guy that runs with us, he won Goodies Dash. I mean, it was great. So we decided, hey, we're tired of doing this prep stuff, so we introduced the treaded to DNQ, and they ran with it, and it's taken off. I mean, it's amazing that last year we could barely have 10 carts in the Cup field with the clone motors, and now we're sending guys home, and we're sending guys home in the Hooters Pro Cup deal. I mean, it's been amazing. It's pretty cool to run in the series, and I hope more people come next year and have fun.
Yeah. So, you said you moved down about 20 years ago. That's funny. You probably got genes older than some of those kids you're racing. But, what? Yeah, some black wrestlers. So there's probably a backstory that not many of our listeners and viewers know about you. Why don't you go into a little bit of your history? Where'd you move down from? Why'd you move down? What brought you to the Carolinas, and what do you do for your day job besides fuck around with DNQ?
So my dad grew up racing up in Sandusky, Ohio. He
beautiful area.
Got some beautiful. I don't know about that. We got some street stocks to go. We raced at our local racetrack. He won some track championships there, and then we moved on to I think it was the Iceman Series, the super late models. Had Butch Miller and Dennis Berry drive for them. They won a couple of championships with that, and then they moved to ASA, won a couple of championships with Butch Miller in the ASA car.
Ooh.
And when the truck series started up in, I think, 95, we raced with Butch Miller in the truck series. Had Kenny Irwin Jr. Drive for us. I think it was like 98
all right.
or somewhere around there. And then my old man moved down here in probably a couple of years earlier than I did. He moved down here in, I think, 98. And I was still in high school. And I was up there by myself for my last 2 years of high school, having parties, tearing his house down.
Hell yeah.
Knocking holes and stuff in the wall. And so I finally graduated. Yes, I finally graduated in 2000, and they moved me down here. I didn't even get to go to any graduation parties because they moved me down here so fast. But that's what we did up in Ohio, and then we moved down here. We been on a lot of race teams. I've worked on some of the best. I worked on some of the worst, and some of them in the middle. And you get to learn from all those places. What works and what don't work. And so I mean, it's been a long racing, I guess, heritage of our family. So we've been around forever. This is the first time I've ever drove anything. So I never drove anything up in Ohio. Come down here ran at Woodleaf when I first moved down here. Ran at Millbridge. Ran at this little dinky track. It was behind the Pilot gas station on exit 42, I think, off of 77. It was the craziest little shithole you could ever been to. But it was fun. It was fun racing. But yeah. So during the day, we we do bodies for a lot of the Xfinity teams, and me and Welch, we take care of about 13 or 14 different teams. We put bodies on for them. That keeps us pretty busy doing that. And then besides trying to figure out how we're going to get the next gray area in the DNQ series, we building chassis dynos and trying to get as much as we possibly can get out of everything to try to go win these things. I mean, it was great back in 2019. We were dominating, we were whooping ass and taking names, and then a little bit more stiff competition showed up again this year. We got Riggins and Stroop in the Cup Series, and Armstrong came in the Busch Series this year and really gave me a bout for trying to get my title back. And we just missed it some nights, or some nights we'd be running second or first, and kids that show up that's not running for a championship would wreck you, and you end up finishing fifth or eighth or something like that. So just a lot of bad luck, a lot of being in the wrong spot at the wrong time. But I can't say more about this series, but it's fun for me. I'm now 40 years old. I'm out there racing 16-year-old kids, and I'm still winning. So it's fun for me.
Man, I feel you, Bobby. I still do some asphalt road course, some sprint racing up here in upstate New York once in a while. I get like 2-3 times a year, and I'm racing against 16-year-old kids, and I beat them, or I'm close to them. I get out of the go-kart, I'm like sucking wind, like, like pouring sweat, and the kids
Hand
like,
me a
hey,
beer and a cigarette.
yeah, and the kids come up to me, they go, "Oh, you did pretty good, Mr. Zobq." I'm like, "What the fuck? I'm only
Don't you look at my
37 years
daughter.
old." You know what I mean? Like, stay away. So it's crazy, man. But you talk about the competition and how DNQ started as just a bunch of buddies trying to run some rental races and having a good time and kind of making a joke out of it. Now it's this serious, highly competitive series. Are you going to make the jump? Are you going to run that Hoosier National coming up next month? Do you think you got anything for them?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what kind of competition is going to show up. I mean, I don't know how far from Virginia or South Carolina people are going to come. I mean, it depends on how much they DNQ promotes it, and I mean it's a pretty good payout. $1,000 a win. Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough to go there and beat whoever shows up. I mean, I'm still trying to figure this credit deal out. With the tires and stuff, and what kind of pressures are on, and what you need to do to your chassis. Just, I mean, you're running almost 2.5-3 inches of stagger when you get the tires new. It's just about impossible to tighten the thing up and then not be loose. So, me coming from the prep tires where that thing's pretty much stuck solid to the racetrack, now I'm having to wheel the shit out of this thing, and it's definitely it's a fun class. It's for sure. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I hope the hell I can go out there and win. But what we had last week, I had Ryan Ayers drive for me. We just totally missed the setup and air pressure. I mean, we were out to lunch, and I'm glad he drove it for me. But I wish I would have had something better for him. But yeah, we got a couple more test days set up, and hopefully we'll get it right, and hopefully we can have a showing for the Hoosier Nationals.
Hell yeah, brother.
If you could take home the Hoosier Million, I got a couple of places down there in Charlotte that are my favorite. Local, going there and your feet stick to the bar, Prohibition, Uptown Cabaret. How are you going to spend that cash?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I mean, I got about a million things I could spend, $1,000 on, but
what's her name?
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I could definitely spend $1,000 down at a bar with all the best guys, and even guys that I don't even like. I might as well just take them. What the hell? Why not, right?
Yeah, I think I think he's coming down to announce that. I think he wants you to take him out if he wins. I think he's going to ask everybody where he's going to spend that money. All right. Last question here, Showalter. Two last time questions. First of all, do you even like the nickname Showtime? Is that a good name for you?
I mean, sure. I guess it's been sticking with everyone. So, I mean, I'm there to put a show on. So, yeah, sure. Why not?
Hell
It's
yeah.
a pretty good name.
Yeah. All right. That's good. And then the last question is, we've seen a couple guys get hurt the last couple of races. So safety, we tilled the top last race, and we're trying to make it as safe as possible. But in the same breath, I really think most of these accidents have been the drivers not respecting each other as far as how they race. Driver's seat. I mean, what do you think we could do to at least not have people wreck, or is it just a driver thing, or what's going on there?
I mean, I feel like the way the track's prepped is not the problem. I mean, unfortunately, everyone, with these tires the way they are, when the green flag drops, you're trying to get every spot you possibly can while you're all bunched up together like that. So, I don't believe it's the way the track's prepped. I mean, running up on the wall it's fun because you're running up there, but you're faster than the guy, so you slide down in front of him, and then he's only opportunity he's got, he's going to slide back down in front of you to put a block on you. So it's great racing. I kind of felt like when we were running down on the bottom this last week, it was I'm just going to drive into the side of you to pass you kind of race. But yeah, I mean it's up to us drivers. We don't want to wreck each other. We have the opportunity not to do it. If we can pay attention to more to where I just passed this guy at, I know where he's at. I know I should not slide up into him and run him up into the wall. So I mean, it's just annoying where everybody's at on the racetrack. Just paying attention, having the race receivers, so we know when the yellow comes out, they're in our ear talking to us, telling us to slow down, or the caution's out. There's been a big plus for safety, but yeah, man, I really like the high side. I won up there, so of course I'm going to say I like to run up there. But I mean, either way it goes, we'll figure it out. But I feel like running the high side, puts a hell of a show on, and I feel like everyone else likes running up there in the top two, banging the boards, and I mean, I think it's fun. I mean, you're wide open, you're 4 inches from the wall, and you're just holding on for everything you got, and it really just brings the driver out in people.
Yeah, I mean, you're up against the wall. Our actual cover photo on the DNQ Facebook page is your tire touching the wall in practice.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably unintentional, but I got you guys a hell.
Is there anybody you'd like to thank? I know we ask everybody all the time in these races. I mean, it's a long season. It's a grind. You definitely had a good year with some struggles down the road, but who do you have to thank for most of the year that you've run?
I mean, first off, I got to thank my wife. She puts up with me, being gone all night racing and working late at the shop, getting stuff ready, and then, being here at the house, bringing the carts home, cleaning them, getting them ready here. So definitely, got to thank her for having patience. I mean, she hates it every time, but she just has to understand that's what we're going to do. So, and then you got Welch and then you got Mike, we bounce stuff off each other, set up notes and what we think we need to do and where we need to be at. And, all my teams that we do work for, I mean, they pretty much sponsor me and supply my money to do this. So I got to, hats off. Thanks for them guys that unfortunately wrecked about every other week, getting up in accidents, so if it wasn't for, their repairs, we wouldn't be doing this. So, I mean, they're pretty much like my sponsors. I guess I have to get a really big side panel on my go-kart so we can put all the sponsorship on the side of it. But, yeah, I mean, there's about, me, Mike, and Welch, we're the only ones that really bounce, stuff off with each other. I know Jimmy is joined up with, I think, Team Reaper. So, they're bouncing information off there. And you got Stroop and Riggins that are bouncing information off of there. So, I mean, it really helps having a teammate or someone you can ask, what kind of tire pressure you're running or what kind of caster you're running, where's your cross, and trying different things and letting them know if it worked or didn't work. So it's fun. It's just old style, back in the day racing, and I like it. So it's been fun.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Bobby Showtime, and I'm sure we'll see you at the Hoosier Nationals. Pretty excited to get that fired off, but we'll see you out there running.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Later, Bobby.
All right. See you guys.
So that's Robert Showalter. I mean, I'll tell you what, the tire test aside, he's done a very good job this year as far as racing is concerned, and his program has stepped up a ton. We saw that in the last Cup race, despite the tire test. And I think what we saw in that tire test was the same thing we had with Mullis happen, where they wiped the water and the same thing. So, people make mistakes, but pretty excited to see what he brings to the table in 2021 and the Hoosier Nationals.
Yeah, washing the tires in the same bucket is something I wouldn't even have thought about, but it can definitely contaminate the tires. I can see that. So I guess that's a lesson to all the DNQ competitors is if you're going to run more than one class where you're not allowed prep, then you probably need to have a separate wash bucket just to make sure that contamination doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I mean, some people might complain, hey, Dan, you're just making my life harder, but that's the whole point of this class is to put it on the driver, put it, on the idiot behind the steering wheel and make you drive and make you do a good job with your go-kart and your setup. So, the class is thriving. So I think if you want to participate, if you want to have fun, if you want to participate in this style of racing, just get a second bucket. It's not that hard.
Right.
This racing's fun because we do police the rules. The fact that you have to have a stock engine, the fact that you have to have zero prep on the tires makes it great. And if you watch that Pro Cup race we had before our last race where the drivers were nose to tail, 4 drivers in a shot to win that race that Ryan Ayers won. I mean, that's the product that we're putting out there.
Yeah, nobody can argue the DNQ product and the racing is just phenomenal. It's the best go-kart racing in the country, hands down. Probably the best racing in the country, hands down. So I think DNQ probably just needs to keep doing what they're doing, and the competitors, they're coming around to it. I mean, Bobby said it best. Like last year, you had 10 cars in Cup that you were struggling to make a good race out of. Switch to some treaded no prep tires, and all of a sudden we're running B mains, sending half the guys that showed up home. I mean, that says it all, just in the numbers.
I mean, it's such a good show. I mean, the way Kyle Larson's going up to big sprint car racing and beating people up. I'm waiting to see Chad Boat and Jason Side show up to try to run Ghostface Brewing Heavy Cup just because it's so much fun. They want a chance to win. I mean, it's awesome. Look at the YouTube views. You know what I mean? The counts and the races once they're posted. It's I think this national is gonna be huge. I bet you have 200 entries for this race.
I could see that easily.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so. Yeah, the racing is going to be amazing. That's for sure.
Definitely going to be a busy night in the tech shed, especially with taking tire samples from the top 5 and then going through engine tech, which has been, a topic lately. But I'm very excited for it. You have a whole practice day. So Friday's a whole practice night. Get out there, turn as many laps you want, and then Saturday is the big show, and money's going to be coming out. I'm really interested to see how many champ carts we get, or whatever you want to call them, buggy carts, because that has potential to become a series next year in DNQ, and they have to have a lot show up.
Yeah, I mean, we don't like running around a pussy class if we don't have to. But I mean, if a bunch of those clowns want to come out here and get their teeth chattered out by running those fucking buggies around Millbridge, we'll take your money. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, the champ carts are kind of a cult. There aren't a ton of them, but when one says, "Hey, I had a really good time running here," everyone come. They will show up. So hopefully you get a good class of 10 or 15 of those bad boys. It'll be a nice showcase, and they'll start showing up running DNQ, putting more money into the pot. More money goes into the series. Prizes are better. Payouts are better. Everyone wins.
Man, I'd love to
Yeah.
see some big sliders on those.
jeez.
To be like some dump trucks sliding each other out there. It's gonna be awesome.
And they're not scared to do it either. That's the other thing. Is they're not scared because they have a
Yeah.
case. It's a false sense of security. Like
Yeah.
the way I see it is these guys that run that class are scared to get hurt. Like you'll have a Ronnie Shirk or John Kinder, some of these guys that don't want to get hurt in a go-kart. Well, just because you have that cage around you doesn't mean you're not going to get hurt. I mean, you have a belt and a cage around you, and I think that's kind of more what it would go towards, cater towards that kind of driver. But I mean, like the safety side, pretty much DNQ now to this point and Millbridge Speedway have done all they can do to make sure it's safe. The rest of it's in the driver's hands.
Yeah, when you hit something with the front of your go-kart and get hurt, it's driver error at that point. You know what I mean? It's not like you got turned around and backed into defense. I think a lot of it is wrong place, wrong time. Maybe some better decision making could be made by the drivers at the time. But I don't know, Billy, what do you think?
I mean, I agree. Like a lot of the wrecks that we've had happen are just drivers. I don't want to say getting complacent, but not respecting the track enough. Bobby said that very well. You know, I feel like a lot of the accidents we've had could have been or are somewhat a factor of, you know, drivers not respecting the track enough. But back to the cage carts. I mean, you can definitely flip one of those things out of the track as hard as you can a flat cart. But you do have the cage around you. You do have those belts. Maybe it's a little bit safer, but that's not going to make up for any driver error. That's for sure.
Bill, I remember when you and I were both racing Cup a couple of years ago. We were going so fast, you wouldn't even dare try to really wreck somebody at all because we were going almost 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, you couldn't. You had to respect each other. And I mean, I remember a couple nights like when it would slick off. If you got one tire in the angel dust, you were done. You were hauling so much ass, like you were just gonna just cross your arms and hope you don't die.
My back still hurts from some of the times I hit the wall off a 2 out there. So I know exactly what it means. So anyway, we had our season finale and man, what a race we had there at the end. I mean, we tilled the top. It had about had a hurricane that came through, so the track was a little rough. Became bottom dominant racetrack, and we had a couple new winners. Josh Long won his first race. Dustin Dunn of the Tyler Young Motorsports Development Program won a race. I mean, Tyler Young's program that he's putting together right now is unreal, and the parties that they have after is even better.
That's DNQ worthy for sure. They could show up and run 8th and still have the best party. But yeah, it's great to see that group. I know they've had some tough times in the trucks, you know, haven't got the finishes they want, haven't been as competitive as they wanted to be in the truck series. So, well, look, watching them step up to DNQ and put together the string of runs that they've had and wins, and we've seen them with Ratchet Jaws and the other guy, I forget his name.
Dustin Dunn.
Dustin Dunn, yeah. Ratchet Jaws and Dustin Dunn. I mean, those guys ran 1-2 bumper to bumper and clicked off a couple of wins. So it's great to see guys that have just kept their nose to the grindstone and hammered out as much as that group has finally get the results that they deserve.
Yeah, I think for me, my favorite part about Tyler Young Motorsports is that they embody everything DNQ was founded on, right? You're racing hungover, you have the best parties, but you still show up on Monday night and get the job done at Millbridge. So I you know, we're supposed to be partial up here in the booth, but you know, if they win a race, I'm definitely not sad. You know what I mean? And I hope their success continues, and I hope it encourages more people to kind of bring that mentality to the pits, bring that mentality to the racetrack, and make DNQ the place to race even more so.
I have to say this. So Tyler Young is probably one of the most humble DNQ past champions ever, because I told some of their drivers, hey, did you know that Tyler was our first champion in DNQ as far as the heavy series goes? He said, I had no idea. Well, Tyler Young was unstoppable in the DNQ series when we first started up, won the championship, won a ton of races, and now he's been a journeyman of DNQ, where he is now a part owner in a team, and it just comes full circle with him.
Yeah, it's great to see the sport grow and evolve as it has. And what better person to do it with than Tyler Young? And it's great to see him come to the racetrack with some good pussy.
Eye candy doesn't hurt, helps sell tickets. And I encourage everyone to bring as much pussy as they can. I think it's great. Keep it up. Good work.
Yeah, he's come a long way in the pit lizard department. There's no doubt about that. So, in that ARCA series, we had Ronnie Carroll take home the championship. Congratulations to him. It was basically his all year long. Nobody was contesting that at all. And his buddy Daniel Armstrong did win the Busch Series championship because of Robert Showalter having to sit a race out. Mike Melton won the Goodies Dash Series championship. And then in our treaded stuff, it was Zach Stroop who took home the Pro Cup championship, and the big one, the Cup championship, was Nick Stroop. So it was a good time to be a Stroop the other night. Those guys took home both championships, and the Winston Cup point system is so good. And I mean, yeah, we had people close, but I mean, these guys were the most consistent guys all year, and that's how you should win a championship.
Yeah, we don't need to put on any fake drama. We got plenty of drama right there on the track with guys throwing huge haymaker sliders every other corner, it seems like, and the points still come down to 3 or 4 guys at the last race able to win the championship. But the best guy has won every single year, and that's what racing is about, just like you said, Bob.
Yeah, consistency is what you were talking about a second ago, and that's what you had. You had a Ronnie Carroll. The last 3 races, the youth movement was giving him a run for his money. You know what I mean? We were talking about even when he started up front, he'd find himself in 4th or 5th place, but he kept the go-kart clean. He kept it on the racetrack. Those youngsters, were hopping left rears, and he still ended up pulling it off. So it just goes to show that you got to be good. You can be fast, but what's the old phrase? To finish first, you must first finish.
Absolutely. That's it. But so next year, I think we're getting ready to see. I mean, we thought this year was big. Next year, probably going to be a large explosion of not only talent, but I think racers coming into the series. I think this series has got a lot of attention put on it lately. And for a weeknight race, I mean, we don't pay out a ton. We pay out pretty decent for a weekly show, but
case of beer and a trophy, shut the fuck up and come race.
Yeah. The competition has skyrocketed this year, and I think it's done nothing but make things even better. I'm sure there's people watching now. We have zero clue that are going to come run next year.
Yeah, I'm looking at the DNQ series a lot like the Chili Bowl now, to where it's the most prestigious, biggest racing in the country, and it pays jack shit to win. But that's not true. What it's about. It's about the trophy. It's about the prestige. It's about the Facebook likes and views and the hose that you get on the way home. It's more than just racing, where it brings out the biggest racers with the most talent and the most experience and money to come compete in the series. But I mean, we still got the lower divisions too, but that's not what we're talking about. Like, we see Jamie Knopf with the All-Star race. He is one of the biggest names in the Southeast, and he finished 4th. And the DNQ regulars with 20-year-old rustlers beat him. That's what DNQ is about.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it too is a shout out to the Burnett's and Millbridge and the track prep and the condition that place is in every time you guys show up. I know Bill, Bob, you guys have been to tracks where you're pulling into the pits and there's some dude with a cigarette and a cutoff t-shirt with a garden hose out there trying to water off the track the way it was left the week before. You know what I mean? And that's just not how they run their ship. It's tight. The track gets packed in. Even after it pours, they're doing everything they can to get that thing run in. They find cool trophies to give out for the awards. It's a great place to race with a good rule set and some good promoters, and it's kind of selling itself at this point.
Yeah, they've done such a good job. I can't thank them enough for how the series runs and operates, and the time schedule we're on for a weeknight. At the latest, we're out of there at 11 o'clock, 10:30, and then it runs very well. And I think part of it is we deal with the go-karters, which they don't want to deal with. They don't want to do that. We deal with it, and it's been a great relationship. I mean, I don't think you could ask for a relationship to work out any better. But I mean, this year alone, the competition has been amazing. The Cup Series has grown so much. I mean, the Pro Cup Series, ultra competitive. We've seen so many things happen this year. And when I look back at where we started this year and where we finished this year, I mean, Ronnie Shirk won the first race, and Nick Stroop's winning championships, and Eric Riggins running well, and James Stanley, who ends up winning the race, and Eric Riggins goes ahead and takes advantage of a rule that we have to test his tires. So he spent the money to protest tires. So we're still waiting on that test to come back to see who won that race. But I think that's also part of the series that just makes it so great.
Yeah, the playing field is level for everybody, no matter how much money you have, and you can show up with a stacker full of tires, but it ain't gonna matter if you can't prep them. So, I can't ask for anything more from this year. The racing's been great. The track prep's been great. The commentating has been great. It's been a great 2020 for DNQ, and I can't wait to get this Hoosier Million underneath our belts and roll into 2021 with the DN Quinn 500.
If it isn't broke, don't fix it. DNQ's got a good thing going, and I'm excited for 2021.
So let's we'll cover some more DNQ after we do the video for the last race that we just had this week. But let's get on some real racing news. I'm going to go ahead and start with. Do you guys have anything else to add for DNQ or no? I mean, I'm good.
No, I'm done with DNQ. Let's talk about other shit.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with Matt Benedetto. That was one thing I wanted to cover. He wasn't sure to the last minute if he had a deal or not. Now here's a guy that I feel has done really well in his first year in what I would consider top tier equipment, and they almost got rid of him. I guess I don't know what they were waiting on, whether they're waiting on Cindric to see if he had money or somebody else to come over there. But are these guys, and we've seen it, we're going to see it with Eric Jones, we've seen it with Joey Logano, are these guys pulling the trigger too quick on these guys after a year trying to work with the team?
I think you kind of need to give somebody more than a year, especially this year, because new team, new crew chief, new engineers, new everything, new setups. I mean, he's never really driven anything but junk in the Cup Series. He kind of drove some decent shit at Gibbs in the Xfinity Series, but he was really young too. I think you kind of need to give at least this year kind of a throwaway, especially since there was no practice and all kinds of other bullshit that you had to deal with. You kind of need to run somebody 2 years to at least figure out what they've got. So I'm glad they made the decision that they did, because I think he is a decent driver. He's probably not going to win them a championship, but I don't think that's what that team is about, honestly. I think that team is about getting good, high quality finishes. So I don't think he did awful. Do I think he needs to do better in year 2? Absolutely. Like 15th to 20th is not where he needs to be running. He needs to be running top 5 to top 12, 15 on a bad day. But I think that team is more than capable of doing it. That also gives Austin Cindric another year in Xfinity. I don't know what that's going to prove, though, because he's not really racing anybody. It looks like Chase Briscoe is probably going to jump up to the 14. So that's going to take his main competition out of there. So what are you doing? You're racing AJ Allmendinger on road courses, and he really doesn't give a shit about racing. He's there doing it for fun. He wasn't really all that good in Cup. I don't know. Like what are you proving by having Austin Cindric take the go-ahead championship because he's in good equipment?
That's really good points. Both really good points. And touching on Matty D, I think some consistency is key. The difference between first place and eighth place is 2.5 tenths. Eighth place and 15th place is another 4 tenths, right? It's not like they're seconds apart, right? You're just trying to find that little bit. And that takes time to develop with a crew chief and a car chief and a setup program, because the computer tells you this one setup's fast, but Denny might like it, or I'm sorry, Blaney might like it, and Keselowski might like it, but Joey and Matty D don't, and they need something different, and that takes time to cultivate. So I think you got to give him another chance, give him another year. I think it was the right call. But on the opposite side, Cindric, I think you got to buy and sell high, right? I think another year in Xfinity, especially with the talent being depleted, if he's running 7th, 8th, 9th in the Xfinity against the field they're going to have next year, I think that looks bad for him. I think that hurts his case to get to Cup the next year. Basically, the expectation is he better be top 3 every single week, barring engine failure or a wreck that's not his fault.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, I mean, we see so many young guys get in Cup cars now, and I'm not so sure that may be the answer. I think they tear a lot of stuff up, and they try a little too hard sometimes. Not saying, I mean, the rookie class this year actually did a pretty damn good job, but do we still see the younger guys that they're going to hire for less money, or do we see them maybe go towards a couple older guys that might make sure that stuff stays intact?
I think it's going to be whoever brings the most money. I don't think the old guy that's not going to tear stuff up game is even in effect anymore unless you're running one of the 16 Rick Ware or Jay Robinson cars.
Yeah, I agree. These big teams are owned by guys that are business tycoons, right? They made a ton of money in NASCAR. They want to keep running and making a ton of money in NASCAR. And they're whoever brings the most money is going to get that seat to an extent, right?
Yeah, you've got to have at least your 1, maybe 2 star drivers. They can't all be duds. Like, look at what Mercedes has done with Lewis Hamilton, blah, blah, blah. Like, you've got to have your at least one good guy.
Yes. Yeah. You can't be junk. You may be able to bring, 250 grand to each race. But if you're going to take that Penske car and run 24th with it for those 8 races, they're not going to have you. It just doesn't cut it for those teams. They're used to winning. So it'll be a balance. You'll still want some veterans, right? You want some guys that can come to your team, because if you're a low budget team, you may have less experienced guys that are behind the scenes at the shop, getting the car set up, doing your setup work, that kind of thing. And you might need an experienced driver to help coach those guys and tell you what you need and explain how to get there, right? Take that knowledge they may have had at better teams in the past and bring it to the mid-pack teams. But you're right. It's a business these days, man, as much as we don't want to admit it. And I think cash is going to be king.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens for sure. What do you got for us there, Bill, on some stuff you want to cover?
All right, so I'll have the obligatory DNQ made Kyle Larson jack-off session here. He won his 40th out of 80 starts this year, 50% win rate in 410 sprint cars this year. I don't think we're going to see that again for a long, long time. So anybody that's a fan of dirt racing, pay attention. You're watching something very special right now. But what I really wanted to bring up was V8 Supercars released their new, what is it? They call it Gen 3 cars.
Yes.
For next year. And it's the Mustang. It's the Camaro. And they are bad to the fucking bone. They look so good. They look very much like the street car with a pretty sick tune on them. The wing isn't too big and stupid. It's got all the right body lines, all the right look. The splitter on it, it's maybe a little bit big. I could do with something a little bit smaller. But man, dude, they look good. I think this is what NASCAR was trying to do and just didn't achieve with the next gen car. I think what they need to do is just like punt on that and let everybody buy these cars because they're already done. It's the same model where all the teams buy all the same shit. Just let it happen because they are sick.
Yeah, they're if you want to, picture Trans Am in its heyday, like the late 60s, early 70s, this is like a modern iteration of that. They are completely badass. And I'm a little horny for V8 Supercars as it is, right? Like I pay money to be able to watch the Bathurst race that's on at like 2 a.m. here our time, and I watch some of the old races on YouTube and like Chaz Mostert and like whatever the other drivers are. I love it. So I think it's great. I agree with you. I want to have a fun, entertaining, dissenting opinion, but I don't. I think NASCAR should scrap what they're doing as well and just say, hey, what's it going to take for you guys to double all the orders you currently have and build some for our teams too? You know,
It's the same horsepower. It's roughly the same size car, all the same style components, hybrid in mind, same thing as NASCAR. Like,
yep.
yeah,
I think the tire size is the only difference. I think they run an 8-inch tire. And NASCAR, I don't know if the next gen car is going to have 8 or 10. I don't even remember. So,
Well, I mean, you would get really good crossover too, because then you could have Australian teams come run in America, and then you could have American teams go run in Australia if they really wanted
Yeah.
to. So, I mean, you have to think of that process too. But then NASCAR wouldn't get their money that they want for people certifying cars and stuff like that. I mean, they got to make their
Yeah.
money too.
Racket.
So,
yeah.
well, they got to make their money too. They're a business as much
Yes.
as everything else is. But
That'd be really, that's a great point you bring up, Bob. What if the seasons were staggered just enough that at the end of, I almost said Homestead, wherever the hell the last race is now, Phoenix. What if the V8 Supercar and Cup season staggered just enough to where you could race year round, a lot like the Outlaws do, where after Phoenix, pack your shit up, ship it across the sea, and a couple weeks later you can run another month or 2 or 3 months, whatever the schedule works out to be, down under and have a little series down there.
well, you can actually do that because the seasons are opposite in Australia. So when it's winter here, it's summer there. So I mean, it really could work that way if they wanted to organize something that way and kind of make some sort of package deal where you can certify cars there and certify cars here, and it's the same thing. I mean, I think sometimes we forget that when ASA and Pro Cup and the demise of those series was the fact that the rules packages differed so much over time. I mean, you could run a Busch car, a Pro Cup car, and an ASA car all in the same series at once, and then they shit all over that by making different rules. So I really think that's probably not a bad idea as far as getting people back in reality of what they need to run. And then you think about that, ARCA guys could go run in Australia. You can make the ARCA rules that way. It just opens it up for way more things to have happen. And especially if you want to say, okay, instead of ARCA and Cup, have the same engine, but detune it where it has less horsepower. I mean, you have those options now. So it's really not that hard to make that decision. But then again, we are making a little bit of sense here.
And now you're on a worldwide stage. You know, you can sell bigger sponsors or more sponsorships. You're racing longer. I mean, granted, I'm sure it would be tough on the families a little bit, you know, but if you, I mean, a lot of the outlaw guys, they take their whole family down there for a couple of months, you know, it really opens it up. And then that also allows the Australian guys, you know, to come up here and race for part or most or all of the season and basically double their income.
Yes, I don't have much to add to that one. Again, we're solving all the world's problems right now on this podcast. I think they're all great freaking ideas. I think it gets fresh faces and fresh ears to the broadcasts in both series. More exposure for the sponsors. You know, there's Roger Penske owns a team in both series. You know, there's big time owners both in Australia and here that could use the exposure, you know what I mean? Especially the whole B2B advertising nature of things and some of the global brands like the beer and the tooling brands that are in both countries. So I think the logistics are tough. I think you have the charter system in NASCAR and the kind of the same system they have in the V8 Supercar series to worry about with that kind of idea. Like, do you just run like a 8 or a 10 race mini series in between where it's, you know, qualify your way in, or are you going to honor the charters that already exist between the two? I don't know. Just playing devil's advocate, you know?
Travel money, man. Travel money makes all the difference. You come from Australia and you want to run the shootout at the Daytona Road Course, it'll pay really good money for them to do that. But anyway, JZ, what do you got to cover here?
I want to talk a little bit about the 2021 schedule and kind of an actual legitimate shakeup for once. And I don't want to harp too much on Bristol Dirt. I think it's a little gimmicky, could be fun. We'll see. I at least applaud NASCAR for trying. I do think it's very cool that we're doing some more road courses, because it's funny how forcing the drivers to use the brakes causes great racing. It's just the way it works. Instead of just staying pegged all the way around the racetrack and having the cars that are each a half a tenth apart every lap just kind of spread out, you can use the brakes. You can change your line. You can change strategies, do things to make the race interesting. Going to Coda is going to be awesome. I don't think that track's the best for a big heavy stock car, but it's cool to go to the country's arguably premier racing circuit. You know what I mean? And
Guaranteed it's better
racetrack.
than fucking Kansas.
Yes, yeah, exactly, right? It can't be worse than Kansas, you know? And I think it's awesome. I think the Indy road course will be fun. I do wish, the trucks and Xfinity, I wish trucks would go to more regional short tracks. You know what I mean?
I
Like
agree with
they
that.
run trucks like a South Boston, or remember when they first started racing at Tucson Raceway Park and how awesome those old short tracks were? I wish they would go there, but again, they don't have to listen to me. I'm just some guy that watches on TV.
They're going to Nashville. Okay, whatever. Nashville's kind of a shithole. Like the whole racetrack is just an absolute dump. But whatever they want to do, if they go to the short track, that's fine. Did they say that they were going to a street course?
No.
Well, they need to. I don't understand why we're not at a street course yet.
Nashville should have been the street course.
Yes. Or, we have to do a street course. The fact that a narrow, tight street course is the perfect racetrack to run these stock cars at. Nobody will bring nice shit there anyway. They're just going to destroy it, but it will be some awesome racing. How could you say no to something like that, even if they went to Belle Isle or something like that? But
yeah,
I gotta commend them for saying, hey, we're gonna run Bristol Dirt. What a year for Boyer to be forced retired. But
yeah, right.
I'm sure he'll get like a premium ride or something, whatever. But I got to applaud them. They're trying something different. Obviously the old system didn't work. Yeah, the Bristol thing will get a bunch of views, and then Nashville is what it is. It's just getting different people in different areas and putting different eyes on different venues. But they're starting in the right direction.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, how awesome would it be, to see a bunch of cup cars rumble down Broadway right past Tootsie's, right over there. That would be a pretty badass race, honestly. It would probably
somebody's car would dead stop at Tootsie's. That's the problem. That's why they don't do it. They get out.
Boyer, yeah. Speaking of,
yeah.
Mike Harmon's been in there for 3 days before the race. You know what I mean? Just having a good time.
I'm a big fan of the shakeup they did. I agree. Like, there are some things that aren't the greatest, but there's a lot that is good about it. Texas at least lost one date, and now they got the All-Star race. Okay, whatever. The All-Star race is kind of a shit show anyway. It sucks for the teams to have to go all the way out to Texas for that stupid race, but okay, I get it if I was Texas Motor Speedway. I agree with you, Jay-Z. Like, the Dakota road course is probably not the best cup car road course that we could have went to, but it is a badass racetrack, and Austin's a badass town. So, they're definitely reaching that whole area of the country, and I would love to go to that race just because Austin's a badass town and the racetrack is really nice, and the racing's probably not going to be that bad. Like, there's a ton of big overtaking, like bomb it in there turns, which usually leads to good cup races. We see that at the Watkins Glen bus stop. There's always carnage there, and there is going to be carnage at Coda also. So I'm not mad about that. Bristol Dirt, I love the idea. I hope that the Outlaws and All-Stars and every other dirt series that you can think of runs there the week before, to try to get the track in somewhat of a decent spot.
Yes.
Larson, Bell, Reddick are probably going to be on a lap of their own. The Dillons are probably going to be and Shithouse probably 1 lap behind them, and then everybody else is going to be like 5 or 6 laps down. I can't see them let that race go and not be competitive. So they're probably going to have to throw a bunch of artificial cautions. I don't see that race going like Eldora trucks, where you can line a bunch of them up right along the wall. They're probably going to be lined up right along the wall, yes, but Bristol is not Eldora. So I would expect a very different show there, although I am very excited to see it, and I think it's going to be the most watched race of the year, probably second to Daytona 500. I hate Homestead being in the beginning of the year. That needs to be the last race of the year so everybody can stay down in South Beach. It's the best time. Phoenix being the last race sucks, but follow the money. Whatever they pour the money into next is going to be where we're going to be racing for the last race anyway. Yeah, it sucks the Roval is still on the schedule, honestly. I hate that racetrack.
With going to all those road courses we're going to, I really don't think they need to even do that anymore. I think it's a terrible idea, especially after you run the Daytona road course. There's no reason for it.
Right, I agree. And you have the Indy road course. That's probably going to be a better show than the Indy Oval. It sucks from a prestige standpoint, and I totally understand that as a racer, but it was the worst show all year. So I understand why they made that change, and I like it also. I like Road America. I like Atlanta getting a second date. Yeah, I mean, that shithole Chicago is finally off the schedule. That shithole Kentucky is finally off the schedule. Now they just need to get rid of, one of the Poconos. That needs to go. Michigan lost a date too, didn't they?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Which that's a damn shame because that track has 3 grooves, but for whatever reason, with the way things are today, the races just end up being boring.
Yeah. It's the aero package. I wish Vegas would lose a date also and go to another better short track name. I don't know, one of 70 in the fucking country.
You're right.
Yeah, but I mean, when
Milwaukee Mile, bro.
Sure, like when you have to push dirt over the stands and you just leave the fucking railings stick out of the dirt, like come on. Yeah, but anyway, I'm a fan. I really like that they shook it up as much as they did. Buying all the racetracks back was great. That summer break in the middle of the season, July 25th, August 1st, for the Olympics, that is going to be some much needed rest for everybody. So yeah, I'm a fan for sure.
I think you made a good point, Bill, about having all the dirt series at Bristol the week before because the Cup car is going to be at least 1,000 pounds heavier than any of the dirt cars that are going to run there the week before. So if the dirt cars are tearing it up, it'll teach them what to do to make sure the Cup cars will be on there and have the track still stay together.
So
and then
it's a Cup car now. It's like 3,400 pounds. And
and
34.
the late models are 2,300. You know what I mean? So
1,400. So they are
yeah.
1,000. They are a ton heavier.
Yeah.
I don't see that being a good race at all. I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there because you're going to get everybody running the top. Nobody's going to go to the bottom. Eventually, they'll wear through to the racetrack, I think, because you're not going to have that much dirt on it. And then it's just going to be one groove top racing the whole time. I really do not think it's going to make it any better.
All right.
Oh, power of positivity, Bob.
Yeah, I'm getting it.
I wish they would have chosen any one of the dirt tracks in America to go to.
Yes.
Take away a Pocono and go to fucking Port Royal. Like that would be a great show. Eldora has put on great racing. Like pick anywhere. Knoxville, that's big enough. I don't know. Knoxville would probably end up being one lane with the big stupid Cup cars. It doesn't quite have enough banking to run there, I don't think. But yeah, like there's so many good dirt tracks.
There's options, yeah.
Anyway, what else we
Yeah.
got?
I'm pretty much covered. I don't know if anybody else wants to cover anything.
Yeah, my Evan Williams is gone too.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
out. I had some Japanese whiskey tonight. It was good.
Yeah. I was on private stock. I
Come on.
bought the bigger thing. It was cheaper, and that hits you pretty good. So,
Good.
all right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and another good one down. We solved every one of the world's problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Until next time, after the
Go
Hoosier
for
Million.
us.
The DNQ Hoosier
Yeah, Hoosier
Million.
Nationals.
Yeah.
Hoosier
It's
Nationals
November
are next. Maybe we'll
11th through 14th.
get 13th and 14th.
13th and 14th.
Hoosier Nationals. We're selling parking and all that stuff, but we'll have probably another podcast before that starts to go over the championship stuff. But I want to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll definitely do Hoosier Nationals if not before that.
Good times.